A lot of people who've been watching the farmer agitation have been wondering why are farmers in Punjab and Haryana in particular so agitated? If the government says that none of what happens currently is being taken away from the Indian farmer, then why do farmers still have so many anxieties? The India Today Data Intelligence Unit put together a set of 5 charts which really help explain who the Indian farmer currently sells to and what is it about dealing with private traders that makes him so anxious. I want to take you through each of these slides over the next 5 minutes to give you a sense of what could be fueling these farmer protests. Now, these slides are based on data compiled by the National Sample Survey Organization, a government-run body which spoke to 35,000 agricultural households in 2013. The data came out in 2016, and they provide insights into landholding patterns, expenditure on a farmland, the income of farmers, and who these farmers typically are selling to. Let's take you through each of these slides one by one to give you a context of how the lives of farmers are currently shaped at present. So the first slide deals with who does the Indian farmer sell to. On the left side here are 5 crops: sugarcane, onion, tur dal, wheat and rice. As you go down this scale, it's on a scale of 0 to 1000, and it shows you what proportion of the total produce is sold to a local private trader, that's in blue. Yellow depicts the produce sold to mandis. Cooperative agencies and governments are depicted in purple. This darker shade of purple is for internal consumption, and this light shade of blue is others. So what comes out of this slide, the first key highlight is that the maximum percentage of what is produced on Indian farms is for internal consumption. Whether it is wheat, where the largest percentage by far is for internal consumption, even in tur dal, the largest percentage is for internal consumption. Even in onion, even though local private trade is a big percentage, about 35%, but a large percentage of the total onion produce is also for private consumption. So whether it is rice, wheat, tur or onion, the largest percentage is typically for private consumption by the farmers and their own families. So that's where most of the produce actually goes. Now, what you see over here in yellow reflects the government mandis where, especially in wheat and rice, MSP comes into play. So if you were to see across the country, just a very small percentage of rice, wheat, tur, onion and sugarcane is sold in government mandis. The larger percentage of the trade happens with local private traders, which is represented in this blue, the first color. So a lot of the rice that's sold across the country is to local private traders. The same with onion, the same with tur, the same with wheat and sugarcane. Cooperatives are weak. In tur, they're almost non-existent. In onion, just this very tiny purple line. In wheat, also very small. And in rice, very small. So basically, point number one, the largest proportion is for internal consumption. The mandi system across crops is a very small percentage of the overall sale, and local private traders are already present in big numbers in rice, in wheat, in onion, sugarcane and also in tur. So that's the first slide. I now want to come to who farmers are selling to basis how much land they own. So in the smallest concentric circle are those farmers who have less than half an hectare of land. In the middle concentric circle are those who have between half to 1 hectare of land, and the largest circle are of those who have more than 1 hectare of land. So what does this data suggest? What this data suggests is that the smallest farmers are the ones who are having to sell to local private traders the most. 53% of those who have less than half a hectare of land have to sell their produce to a local private trader, whereas those with larger land holdings of more than 1 hectare, 47% of them are able to sell to mandis. Now remember, the smaller you are, the lesser money you are likely to have, and therefore when a small farm produces a particular crop, they typically don't have the resources required to go all the way to a mandi, which on an average is about 25 kilometers away from the farmland. Therefore, whichever private operator comes to their farm, they typically tend to sell to that particular private operator, which is why 53% of what is produced is sold to local private traders by those who own less than half a hectare of land. Bigger farmers are able to go to government-owned mandis, which is why they are more keen for the mandi system to continue. I now come to the third slide. Now this compares how produce is disposed of and sold in Bihar with how produce is sold in Punjab. So two states. Remember, in 2006, Bihar did away with the APMC Act to encourage farmers to be able to sell directly to private operators, whereas that act continues in Punjab. So you've got two contrasting states with different mechanisms at play. Let's see how these two states operate. In Punjab, 47% of what is produced is sold in government mandis according to this NSSO study. 9%, just a very small percentage, is sold to local private traders. 42% is sold to government agencies and to cooperatives. Whereas if you were to look at Bihar, 72% of what is produced is sold to local private traders, only 7% is sold in government mandis, and 19% is to input dealers, and cooperatives and governments are almost non-existent at only 1%. So a big difference between this blue, which is 72% in Bihar being sold to local private traders, and the largest percentage, 47% in Punjab, sold to government-run mandis, which is why in a state like Punjab, so much anxiety about the health of the government-run mandis, which is what determines how much money the Punjab farmer is able to draw. I now come to the question of choice, and this is to do with whether farmers are aware of the existence of the MSP system and whether they want to sell to the MSP mandi or to the private operators. So, among farmers who did not sell to a government procurement agency, the most common reason was the unavailability of the agency, and not that there was a better price available privately. So it's not as if they're selling to the private trader because they have a better price there. Farmers say they don't. They're selling to a private trader because they don't have the option of being able to go to a mandi. That's what comes out of this NSSO study. So 68% of those who were polled said they were not aware of the existence of the MSP. 14% said they were aware of MSP and sold to the government agency. 18% were aware of the MSP but did not sell to the MSP because agency was not available, no local purchaser was available, or because they got a better price than they would have at a government-run mandi. So 68% were not aware of the MSP, which is why they could not sell at a government-run mandi. It's not because they didn't want to. Now, amongst those who sold wheat to mandis and amongst those who sold wheat to local private traders, when we draw a comparison, you find that those who sell to a government-run mandi typically tend to have higher satisfaction levels. 91% of those who sold wheat inside a government mandi said they found the transaction satisfactory. Only 82% who sold wheat to a local private trader said they found the satisfaction satisfactory. So what the data demonstrates is that farmers typically would like to sell to a government mandi if they had that choice. It's not because they love selling to government mandis, but because they believe that the option of selling to a government mandi is better than their past interactions with private traders, which is why no matter how flawed the MSP system is economically, for these farmers who were polled in 2013 and there hasn't been any NSSO study after that, the experience of selling to a government mandi is better than the experience of selling to a private trader.